I feel like the Luke, I'm your father moment is something that people just kind of hear. Did you know it, or did you watch it and you had no idea that was going to happen?
I didn't know that was going to happen.
Oh my God. May the force be with me so I can contain my excitement during this interview, because Kelly Marie Tran is here in studio. Rose Tico herself. How are you?
I'm good. It's been such an insane journey. And I mean, Ryan is the best human ever. Truly. Like, I really hope every actor gets to work with him, because it's just like working with a friend. He's just the best.
Have you had your pinch me moment yet?
I have them all the time. I'm still having them. Yeah.
What has been your biggest to date, I guess?
Oh, man. Probably when I was at Kimmel and someone showed up dressed like my character and the movie hasn't even come out yet. That was a big thing.
I saw that.
Yeah. And then also just working with all of these actors that I had looked up to for so long. Laura Dern, Benicio del Toro, I mean, Oscar Isaac, Donald Gleason. The list could go on forever, but I won't bore you with that. But all those people, I mean, it's just insane. Yeah.
I want to go back to when you actually got the call, because we've read a lot of, like, you know, you were maybe thinking about quitting acting and you were doing your comedy thing, and then you get the call of all calls, and then you have to just go back to work. So what was that? Walk us through that moment.
Yeah. So I had been auditioning for this movie for about 5 months, and it was actually an in-person meeting with Ryan. And I was at my day job, and I got a call from my agent saying that Ryan wanted to meet with me before we all went home for Thanksgiving. So this is November of 2015, before The Force Awakens comes out.
Wow.
Yeah, so you have to remember that I was auditioning for this movie and waiting to hear back while all the marketing for Force Awakens was coming out. So I tried to get it out of my head, but it was everywhere. It was so insane. So I go to this meeting with Ryan, and I tell my my coworkers that I'm going on my lunch break. And I go to this meeting, and Ryan tells me, God, I remember that day like it was yesterday. It's just so crazy. I remember driving there and just shaking, because I was just thinking to myself, either he's going to say, you have this, or he's going to say, nice try, kid.
Yeah.
And so I get there, and there's a little bit of small talk, and then he says, Kelly, I want to offer you this role. And I had imagined this moment so many times. And I thought that I would be ecstatic. I thought that I'd be jumping up and down, but I was just shocked and quiet for maybe a full minute or two.
He's like, are you excited?
Yeah, exactly. He goes, so do you want this? And I was just like, I'm sorry, yes, but what? It's just it was so shocking, the whole thing. And then he was like, well, you can't tell anyone, so what are you going to do to celebrate? And I said, I actually have to get back to work, so I'm just going to do that. So I just went back to my day job and answered emails and answered phone calls like I normally did.
What was your first memory of Star Wars, and how did you get into it?
I actually didn't grow up with Star Wars. My parents, I think Star Wars is something that normally is sort of passed down through generations of families. Mm-hmm. And my parents were, they're refugees from Vietnam, so they were not in this country when Star Wars came out. So as a child, I was never introduced to it through my parents. So I actually ended up not seeing these movies until I got cast.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was the first one you watched?
Force Awakens.
Okay.
That's the first movie I watched. I actually read The Last Jedi before The Force Awakens came out. Is that weird? It's totally weird.
Yeah, you're probably like, wait.
Yeah, I was so confused.
Han's dead?
It's so crazy. It totally helped me, though. The idea of this franchise that I already knew was such a big cultural thing. I was sort of given this freedom to be honest with that character, mm-hmm. and not have this pressure of making her like someone else that we had already seen in this universe.
Right.
But obviously it's so historical, and you just want to do the whole thing justice.
So did you, because I feel like the Luke, I'm your father moment is something that people just kind of hear. Did you know it, or did you watch it and you had no idea that was going to happen?
I didn't know that was going to happen.
Oh my God.
Is that so weird? I knew that people always said that as a joke, but I had no idea what the context was.
Right.
And so when I watched it, I was like, oh my God, that's where that comes from.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember, I think I already knew it. I think it was something that I had heard.
Yeah.
So I don't think I had that
When did you watch it for the first time then?
1997, they re-released them all in theaters.
Right,
and my dad was like, I have to take you to come see this.
Yeah. So my parents never took me to see those then, because they weren't into it. Yeah, so weird.
Rian Johnson is doing another trilogy, and we have not even seen The Last Jedi yet. So you know more than I do about Rian in Star Wars. Why do you think that he's the perfect person to take on a new trilogy that's a completely blank slate?
I think that Rian isn't afraid to do something that's different. And I think that's really hard with something that has been established and something that people love so much. That movie really feels like it's a standalone film, if that makes any sense. There are great action sequences, there are great characters, but every single character has an arc. Every character has some sort of a mental, physical, or emotional challenge that they're going through. And it's pretty incredible to kind of see what he's done with it. I think that there's not a more perfect person to make something new in that universe, and I can't wait to see that new trilogy.
Another thing that he's introduced us to,
Porgs!
besides Rose Tico, Porgs. And then the sexy Voltex Crystal Foxes.
I love them too.
So here's the thing. I love Porgs, and I tweet about it all the time.
Do you?
And then people are like giving me a little bit of backlash, and they're like, I'm going to tweet Ashley recipes involving Porgs, and it's very offensive.
Oh my God.
So I want to know where you sit with Porgs.
I'm
love,
pro-porg.
hate. Should we be eating them?
I'm totally pro-porg. I would not eat a porg.
Good.
They're so cute.
They're so cute.
You can't eat them. They're our friends.
John said he doesn't like them.
I know. We're working on it. We talk about it. We're working on it.
I have to ask you about our late royal princess, Carrie Fisher, who is just such a funny person and who is so smart in this business. Is there a piece of advice that she bestowed on you, given that this was, your first major film that you could carry with you? Carry with you.
Yeah. Ooh,
a
pun.
I didn't do
Punny.
it on purpose.
Yeah, I really think that Carrie is such an icon, not just as someone who played Princess Leia, but someone who was just groundbreaking in that she was okay with being honest, brutally so, unapologetically so. And I mean, there are definitely pieces of advice that she gave me, but I think the best advice that she could give anyone is just leading by example, and the idea that if you're kind of messy and if you're kind of complicated, hey, guess what? We all are, and it's okay to be that in a situation where maybe millions of people are listening to what you have to say. She was so brave in that sense, and that's something I didn't truly understand until I think maybe now I'm still trying to understand it, that it's scary to be yourself when a lot of people are watching.
Right.
And she was so fearless. I truly think that she's going to be immortal for it.